Now for NewsTalk, Bob DeSanctis is live in studio to answer your questions about landscaping and planting. 793 WKTV, we got one ready. You ready to go?
Ready to go.
Well, let's do it. Go right ahead. What's your question for Bob this noon?
Hi, I'd like to ask you about lawn rolling and how much good it really does, and do you do it? I'll hang up and listen. Thank you.
Well, lawn rolling, we don't really recommend that because you want your lawn to breathe and not be suffocating. That's why we would aerate the lawn by punching holes in it versus trying to roll it. But sometimes you do need to do some rolling if you have a real problem with maybe frost heave. Traditionally people have always rolled their lawns, but most of the time my recommendation would be not to roll it. And no, we don't offer that service.
Okay, 793 WKTV, go ahead. What's your question this noon?
Yes, I dug up roots of an apple tree and set it out, and it's not bearing fruit, and people tell me I need to graft an apple part on it. I was wondering if you suggest if I do it above ground or below. Thank you.
Well, typically you would graft it above ground. It's not the easiest thing to do, but it can be done. I don't know what else I could tell them.
That's it. Below ground, and it's not easy. Above ground.
Yep.
All right, we've got another call. Go ahead. What's your question this noon?
I am going to help my niece put down a garden bed. I was wondering if it's okay to put newspapers under the mulch, or should we put plastic?
Yeah, newspapers are fine. That's a good way to, they'll just decompose and compost up into the soil. So people do that. Cardboard, newspaper, something that I wouldn't recommend. Actually, I think it's probably better than plastic, than using plastic or poly. So,
793 WKTV is the number to call. Go right ahead. What's your question this noon?
Hi, I have rose bushes. I didn't get a chance to cut back in the fall because of the snow. When is a good time to cut them back?
Right now, as we get into April, you can prune them back to a viable bud. You'll see the buds on them, typically on a rose bush. Sometimes the top of the plant, the buds have been killed off by the winter. So if you can prune it back to give it some shape, right back to a nice looking bud, I think you'll be okay.
793 WKTV, you've got time for another call. Go right ahead. What's your question this noon?
Yes, I have a holly bush, and it turned brown over the winter. What does that mean?
Well, holly, it's not very good to have it turn brown, but basically holly, which is an evergreen, like a lot of evergreens, they desiccate, they lose moisture during the winter months when the ground is frozen, they can't take up moisture, so they aren't real happy. You might have to prune it up some so that you can promote new growth on that holly. I don't know how tall your little bush is, but basically that's what you would need to do.
All right, we thank you all for those calls. Good to see you, Bob, as always.
Happy Easter.
Yes, you
See
too.
you next week.
You bet. Coming up, we'll have much more news. Stay with us.